Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Peter and the Wolf, the stop motion from 2006, that version of the story. It's been a bit longer since I've done a video. I'm going to put the thumbnail and hopefully it's not going to get taken down. Truckers, which is a really nice stop motion series from 1992. Basically, whatever I did to that, whoever owned the copyright was just disputing it, and I just thought I don't want to mark against the channel. But so unfortunately you're never going to see that, which is a shame because it's kind of forgotten to time now. No one's going to know what Truckers is. But yeah, that's the video you could have got. But I'm going to do Peter and the Wolf from 2006. Now this is quite an interesting one because they did premiere this, I think it was 29th September 2006, and they toured it with, I think it was the Philharmonic Orchestra, it might have been the RTC Orchestra as well, and when it premiered they had the orchestra there doing parts of it as well, so it's quite nice. But I'm a big stop motion guy, so I'm going to be reviewing this. Peter and the Wolf. It's actually a Polish, British, Norwegian stop motion. I knew it was probably Polish, but I didn't realise there was the Norwegian in there as well and the British. But what I like about this is there's no speaking in it, so you can just watch it, and it's universal in the way that anyone can approach it, a bit like programs like Pingu and things like that. There's no actual speaking in it, but we get the gist of what's going on. The animation sort of reminds me of something slightly crude, like the new Pinocchio film that was on Netflix, or The Gogs, something like that. Maybe I'll review that in the future. I'm a big stop motion fan myself, and I like the fluidness of the motion in this. I think it's really nicely done. I also like the fact they've obviously there's some CG with the weather and stuff. It's quite cool. We see Peter on a very snowy day watching his grandfather build a massive fence around their cottage. What can that be keeping out? Then we get a first-person view from a creature running through the snowy forest. Also from the text, it kind of looks a bit sharp and Russian, even though it's in English. It gave me vibes of Dyatlov Pass Incident, if anyone's seen that movie. Peter and his pet duck out of the hole in the fence to the outside. He's looking out over a frozen lake, and then we see the hand of his grandfather pulling him back. Now the skin on his grandfather's hand looks very aged, very worn, reminding me of Freddy Krueger and Nemesis from Resident Evil 3. Looking slightly grief-stricken, Peter's grandfather sends him off to town with a basket. Also, just a side note at this point, this film is set in Russia. And also as a side note as well, why is there a big, fortified fence at that back garden? But in the front garden you can just walk out and it's not really that protected. Surely the wild is around your whole house. Peter strolls into town. The sets look really good here, although some of the people just look like disturbing dolls come to life, even though Peter doesn't himself in a way, with just the softness of the skin and the way the eyes look. Just for a minute there, I thought his arms were bending the wrong way. Peter walks up to a mysterious, tall and bearded man with balloons, offers him a balloon. Didn't actually get the red one. Usually in these kind of programs, they always get the red balloon. But he got quite a nice calming blue balloon this time, and then he gets the fright of his life. These are the local hunters, it seems, and one of them particularly is a bit of a jerk, to be honest, and this happens. Whoa, that was a bit over the top, just bumping into him outside a shop, and now he's pointing a gun at him in a dumpster. He throws Peter into the dumpster, still with his balloon in hand, to be fair. He's keeping hold of that. This was also the one character that really reminded me of the series The Gogs as well, just the way the character looked. Fade to black. It's almost like an episode of Goosebumps. Back at Peter's house, we see Crow lie down. I do like this shot, how it pans round, and we see more of the set from above. It's a really nice shot. After some hijinks with a potato, the Crow gets hold of the blue balloon and has some fun. Crow has the balloon round it, and obviously we saw when it came down, the Crow's wing is busted, so now it can fly again. It feels like it's not going to fly a spiral into a potato on its beak. As the Crow signals to Peter to undo the padlock, we see probably one of the biggest cats we've ever seen in a stop motion production. There's something so sinister about the way Peter looks, especially when he moves slow. I thought he was going to put his hand over his grandpa's nostrils and mouth for a minute. It was just so sinister how he just stood there. You just try and tell me that's not creepy. Keys in hand, Peter goes to unlock the padlock, but someone else is on his tail. After having trouble pushing the door open, they push the door open. They're out onto the frozen lake. The Crow, the duck, which might be misconstrued as a goose, but I looked up, it's meant to be a duck. And Peter, and also we hear Peter and the Wolf, and I hope I pronounced this right, by Prokofiev, and the actual piece of music is called Peter and the Wolf. Just like the town, I like the set here with the tree and everything, and I always think, especially for these shorter films, it's a shame they go to such lengths to make these great looking sets, and then they're only going to be used for like half an hour special and only for a bit of it. But yeah, I love how this film looks. Crow's loving life, he's hopping, skipping about with that balloon. We get a Buzz Lightyear moment where the crow almost manages to fly, but he ends up falling with style. We get a funny moment where the crow is actually on top of the balloon as Peter tries to throw him into the air to help him out. Falls on the duck. The duck's just sitting there laughing as they're both on their back. It's brilliant. Peter comes up with a plan, rushes back to the house, grabs some rope. Flick back to the grandpa, he's still asleep, but the cat is gone. You can do a lot of things to that cat, you can wake it up, you can take its food, but don't you take its rope. Loving the wide angle here, you see the set again, there's so much love and attention has gone into this. You can't say no to those eyes, can you? Mission accomplished, Peter then pulls the crow up onto the branch in the tree. What follows is a graceful moment where we see the crow jump off that tall branch, slowly gliding down. A lovely graceful moment where we see the crow just loving life again. He's been able to do something that he couldn't do while his wing was busted. This shot's a weird one because it almost looks like Peter's eyes are painted on or superimposed on rather than actually being there. The duck falls backwards onto the frozen lake. Now, I don't know if it was laughing when it fell down, and I also want to make this clear now. I'm fairly certain we never got told that that duck was injured, but I always see it laying down on the floor and not doing much. So I don't know at this point if it was injured. So maybe it is, maybe it's not, as the crow comes down right on top of the duck. I like the little extra character pieces we get, like a little bit of accompaniment from the orchestra there. Everyone seems to have their own theme when they're first introduced, so I can see how this works when the Philharmonic Orchestra performed it live. Apparently this, when it's done in live form, actually is narrated. They just chose not to put any kind of narration or character interactions in actual dialogue for this film version that was released to DVD. A look from the crow there as he realises he's reached the floor again, scratching at the ice, looking up at Peter. Help us out, mate. We get even more story building on the fact that this duck is Peter's best friend and they care about each other a lot. Peter pushes the duck across the ice on the frozen lake, and we kind of see him turn into like Torval and Dean. That's a British reference, ice skaters. He enjoys and he starts to get used to the ice. And I was thinking when I was watching this, I know it's just a film and it's just stop motion. I thought the duck, obviously the animals don't wear shoes. I thought, I bet that's cold in his feet. Here comes trouble. It reminds me a little of the big giant cat king, his name escapes me right now, in Ni no Kuni, in that first town that you visit. The cat has his eyes on the crow, it's ready to pounce. Again, loving the music accompaniment to the cat's actual plodding towards the crow. Anyone who owns or has seen a cat before knows it gets real when the hair stands up on end like that. I love little details like that. They're one of the tremendous feat of athleticism. The really big cat jumps for the crow. It misses the crow but falls through the ice, breaking the ice on top of the lake. Rather humorous how the cat, once it's got out of the lake, shakes itself off and just acts like nothing's happened and it's brushed it all off. But the cat still has its eyes on the prize. It still wants that crow. Cutting back to Peter's grandfather, he's turning in his sleep, he goes to feel his shoulder, notices his cat's not there, he's awake. For the few shots it's used, and the fact it's kind of in the dark a bit as well, the amount of detail that just goes into this, the interior of the house is quite impressive as well. I wish they'd made this a longer film, or just made another film in this kind of stuff. It's brilliant. Peter's grandfather stumbles across Peter and goes to retrieve him from the lake, bring him back home. Duck, crow and cat, which is what I'm going to refer to them as at the moment. I don't think the cat has been given a name in this. Still outside. I want to say we see how fragile the wall is when Peter kicks it. Peter opens up the little hidey hole he's got again in the fence and sees a wolf out there. At this point, I've noticed that they've got the same eyes, same colour, the same look to them. Peter and the wolf aren't so different. As Peter and the wolf lock eyes, we then see down. The duck is in the middle of the frozen lake between the wolf and Peter. Probably due to kind of restrictions in what they could do and how they were going to pull this scene, but when the wolf actually walks down the mountain, it slightly drops frame rate, and that kind of adds to it, because from the duck's perspective looking at it, time would start to stand still when you've got this monster coming down to the lake that's going to try and kill you, basically. And the wolf has his eyes on the prize, his eyes on the prey, the duck. The wolf then climbs up a fallen tree trunk up to the side of the lake onto the hill, circles round behind the cat. The entire time this has been going on, the duck's just stayed where it is in the middle of the frozen lake. Now looks towards Peter at the fence. Peter's ushering it to come over to safety. Just look at those legs go. The wolf turns from the tree to see the duck. Next shot, we see the duck running towards Peter from Peter's perspective, and at the last minute, the wolf comes in and takes it from the side. Now, this bit is kind of shocking. It's kind of a spoiler if you've not seen it before. In every version apart from the Disney version, the duck does get swallowed by the wolf, and in some versions, it is alive inside the wolf at the end still. The wolf swallows it whole, the duck is gone, and is Peter's best friend. And even though this is a short film, it does seem like we saw them bond, and it's a bit sad that the duck died, especially when it looked like it was going to be a sure thing that it was safe. Peter's in shock, the crow's in shock, the cat doesn't really seem to mind. From one emotion to another, we're back to the comedy of the cat in the tree looking up and realise it's only a branch away from catching that crow. We see Peter take his gloves off, he's ready, he's got a plan of action. He goes to grab a net, he's going to try and catch this wolf. As we turn and see the cat approach the crow and then start to slide down the tree, the wolf notices this, takes interest in it. As this was playing, it reminded me of a song from Corpse Bride. Funnily enough, there's just a bit of music that was slightly the same tune.
If he only knew the you that we met. If he only knew the you that we met.
Considering what's just happened and the danger that still lies there with the wolf, we do still get some bits of comedy thrown in with the cat trying not to fall off the branch, backed up against the tree. Great shot of the lake, and it backs up over the fence back to the cottage. I like big open shots like this just show the scope of what they've built for this set design. The wolf notices Peter climb over the fence, crow wagging its tail feather. It's excited to see him again. We then see Peter come up with a plan. He's trying to communicate with the crow. He's going to use the crow as bait so he can catch the wolf. Crow doesn't want anything to do with the plan, but then it suddenly isn't the crow's choice as he falls off the branch and slowly glides down with the balloon still wrapped around him towards the wolf. I think this is the first time we've seen the wolf almost look like it's smiling with the way its mouth's open and we've seen it from above. But the footage from below the crow, and then it stops. And I'm thinking, has he got a rope around him? No, Peter didn't wrap the rope around him, did he? And then we see a zoomed out shot and he's just landed right on the wolf's nose. Now they're eye to eye, just staring at each other. Lands on the wolf's back and is still trying to evade the wolf's attacks. Peter, with one end of the rope tied around his waist, lowers the other end, which is sort of tied in a sort of noose loop, gets it round the wolf's tail, and we have this kind of fight of weight as he's trying to pull the wolf up, and then Peter falls down, and him and the wolf are neck and neck. Got battle wounds now, battle scars. Wolf tries to walk away, pulling the weight of Peter back up over the branch. Peter then meets a fork in the tree, so he's being pulled against that, whilst the wolf is pulling as hard as it can. It's almost amputating its own tail, so they're both in pain. Wolf then turns back to Peter. Follows as another sort of stalemate scene where Peter and the wolf just looking at each other, glaring at each other, stood in place. We hear a slightly clumsy sounding, plodding piece of music, and then we see the two hunters from earlier in the town walking up the hill, and it's sort of almost like a mutual respect between Peter and the wolf. They just watch on as they pass by, stopping dead in what they're actually doing in their confrontation themselves. We see the hunters stop halfway up the hill. They're practicing their crawling through the undergrowth. The hunter then looks through the sights, turns to the lake, and sees the wolf right there in its crosshairs. And obviously startled straight away because he wasn't expecting. He goes to shoot the wolf, but at the last minute the other hunter steps on his legs. He hits his gun up, almost hits the cat. The cat falls down the tree. And then astonishingly, the hunters just run away in panic. Cat is on the floor, looks up, it's face to face with the wolf, which is in netting, but it's face to face with it that moment. And then Peter's grandfather comes out the fence looking around, slightly shaking as if, what has been going on? I only just brought you back in. And the grandfather's shaking. Peter then takes the gun off him. We're not going to shoot the wolf. We then cut back to the town. It's night time, it's lit up, it looks quite nice. And the strange, tall, bearded man again is there. There are kids trying to look in his van. He looks like he's part of some kind of travelling sideshow. There are posters of a bear, which we kind of saw at the start on the wall in the background when Peter first entered the town, of a bear kind of dancing in a ballet skirt. We see the white car of Peter's grandfather. We see Peter on top of the vehicle proudly as it drives slowly into town. Also notice the crow has kind of taken the place of the duck as that role of the animal best friend of Peter, it seems. And it looks like Dad wants to negotiate with the bearded man of the sideshow. Peter kind of undoes the wooden outside of the trailer. There are bars still though, and we see that the wolf is in the trailer. They've captured the wolf and put it in the trailer and brought it to town. So it looks like Peter's grandfather might be trying to give that to this travelling sideshow man. Peter looks really evil here with his eyes and his hair flared up and sort of some gaps in his teeth a little bit. He just looks real like he's really loving the fact these kids are scared. The butcher looking on as we get a pan to the meat, and it's implied that maybe they might sell the wolf. It's interesting, just little things like this where we've got the other characters in the town and maybe the butchery itself used for mere seconds, yet they go into so much detail and effort to make it look this good. Peter's looking around, not just at the butchery, he's looking at the hunting shop with the guns, then he looks at the poster of the dancing bear in the ballet skirt, the tutu. He looks back at the wolf, they have another eye-to-eye moment, and it seems like Peter's thinking he'd rather this wolf be free than him take his life away by giving him to one of these outcomes. Peter's grandfather gives up with the sideshow character and goes over to talk to the guy who owns the hunting shop, who offers him a wad of cash. But it seems it's not enough for him. He gives him the money back, and the cat turns around and screams at Peter's grandfather. At first, it feels like the cat's saying, "That's enough money to buy. I don't know how much cat food." And then we pan to the side and we see the hunters are back from the side alley, and that's what the cat's reacting to. And then in an almost comeuppance sort of moment, Peter then slowly moves around the trailer, undoes some ropes, and the net on top of the trailer he pushes onto the hunter that not only tried to shoot the wolf, but also almost shot Peter at the start of the film. As the hunter struggles on the floor in the net, probably making it worse for himself, we actually see that the crow's wing is healed as we look up, and the crow's loving life again. He's flying around and all sorts. So maybe he's not going to stick around and be Peter's friend after all. Around the back of the trailer, Peter undoes the padlock door slowly up, and he kind of has another one-to-one with the wolf. The wolf doesn't attack him, just see eye to eye. I think the wolf realises he's doing something nice for him, he's letting him go. The wolf, side by side with Peter, just walks straight towards camera. You can see their eyes again, you can see they look very similar. And at this point I thought maybe he's going to unleash this wolf on this hunter. Bit of a comeuppance moment, but the wolf looks sideways back at Peter and then runs off out of the town into the night. And that was Peter and the Wolf. It's about 28 minutes or so without the credits, about 32 minutes with the credits. It's a nice little film, not quite feature length. I do like the style of it. I'd love to see another film in this style. I think some of the sets were beautiful, some of the characters were beautiful. I think the motion was great for a stop motion, quite smooth. I don't know if you've seen it at home. I'd love to see the live one. Philharmonic Orchestra in the background as well, and that'd be great. I like how universal it is about the dialogue as well. Obviously, I apologise, but Truckers, I could not put Truckers on YouTube. Maybe I'll try and put it on Dailymotion, I don't know. But thank you for watching. Tell me what else you want me to review, obviously. And yeah, thanks for watching, and until the next one, take it easy.